Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're unpacking a genuinely fascinating milestone in software development. We're looking at a developer named Ang, who recently hit this absolutely massive benchmark, their 200th reflection post on their Haskell programming journey. You know, when someone documents a single software project over hundreds of updates, it gives us this rare, magnifying glass view into the unvarnished evolution of a codebase and really the mindset of the programmer behind it.
Which naturally brings up a fantastic question. What actually happens after 200 posts of tiny incremental changes? It's so easy to look at massive software releases and think, wow, that happened overnight. But the reality? It's a grinding, highly rewarding journey of small steps. So let's dive right in and see exactly what this developer has learned and what it means for anyone out there trying to build something complex from scratch.
Section 1, reaching the 200th post. Now, hitting that 200 mark on July 30, 2026, that represents a literal mountain of dedication. Anyone who's ever started a side project or a long-term software build knows the drill, right? Enthusiasm is sky high on day 1, and then it kind of plummets by day 10. To reach 200 distinct, documented updates means this project has serious staying power. It requires a level of consistency that completely separates your standard weekend tinkering from serious long-term software development.
But to keep things focused today, this particular update from Ang serves as a direct reflection on just the last 100 posts. Basically, we're looking back at the journey since hitting that first major century mark. Think of it as a progress report on the second half of this massive endeavor.
And the timeline here? It is incredible. 4 months. It took exactly 4 months to write those last 100 posts. If you do the math on that, it's a relentless, rhythmic pace of almost one update every single day. Just think about that for a second. That really grounds us in how frequently this developer is touching the code, thinking about the architecture, and actively pushing the whole shebang forward. Which brings us to this wonderful quote directly from Ang's notes. They describe this period as being mostly about tiny and incremental changes, one commit at a time and one post at a time. So the crucial point is that big software goals are rarely achieved in massive, sweeping strokes. No way. They're achieved through rhythm. It's all about incremental progress, constant refactoring, and taking the opportunity to deeply learn the language, in this case Haskell, one tiny commit at a time.
Section 2. The push for readability.
During all this refactoring, Ang had a wonderfully colorful realization. They noticed they were falling into a, quote, cryptic and alphabetically soupy Haskell coding style. I mean, what a fantastic description of a very real technical hurdle, right? When you're deep in the weeds of a complex language, it is incredibly easy to write code that makes perfect sense to you today, but is going to look like absolute alphabet soup to you 3 months from now. Ang had to confront this unreadable code head-on. To actually fix this, Ang had to move away from that messy, old way of writing Haskell and adopt a totally new, readable approach. And to do this, they decided to leverage a tool called the Flow library. This perfectly captures the tension of code evolution, realizing your current path is unsustainable and actively pivoting your architecture to prioritize human readability over clever cryptic shortcuts.
But making that pivot brought up what I like to call the developer's dilemma. See, Ang notes a really strong preference to cut down on third-party dependencies. Every single developer knows this struggle. You want your project to be self-contained and lean. However, Ang realized that bringing in the flow dependency was the absolute only way to actually improve code readability in this context. It's the classic trade-off. Do you maintain zero dependencies or do you make your code readable? Actually, scratch that. It's more like, do you want to be a dependency-free island or do you want a sustainable project? Ang chose readability for sure.
Section 3. The future roadmap.
First off, we have to celebrate a major victory. All of this incremental work actually led to a massive, concrete achievement. Feature-wise, the project successfully hit its primary goal, converting a plain-text Chinese novel into a PDF format complete with indexing. That's what all those 200 posts of grinding and refactoring built. It's not just theory anymore. It's a working, complex text processing tool.
Let's move to and see how this builds the future roadmap. We have 4 distinct steps pending here: fixing minor details, tweaking performance, doing a complete rewrite using Pandox Reader, and finally, exporting to new ebook formats. Now, while steps 1 and 2 are pretty standard housekeeping, steps 3 and 4, those are massive architectural shifts.
Let's look a little closer at that massive shift. Ang is planning a complete rewrite to move away from their own custom parser and AST, which, by the way, stands for Abstract Syntax Tree, and over to Pandox Reader. Why? Well, because leveraging a powerful standardized tool like Pandoc unlocks the ability to easily export to a whole variety of other ebook formats down the line. It's a highly strategic move to trade in custom-built code for long-term versatility.
And that leaves us with a truly fascinating, kind of philosophical question to end on today. When building a project, at what point do you abandon your custom code for a standardized tool? Eng spent 200 posts building this, only to realize the next phase requires tossing out the custom parser for Pandoc. It's a bold move, and honestly, it's something every creator has to face at some point. Think about your own projects. When is it time to let go of the custom code you poured your heart into just to embrace a broader standard? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. I hope this deep dive into the realities of software development gave you some great food for thought.